Okay. Go mute yourself.
And then make sure this thing, the huge counterweight, a big lead.
This is really great information.
Welcome, board members. If you can please turn on your cameras.
Hello, this is Dave Cooper.
Jesse, Ken Coker, Dave.
Yep,
Good afternoon, everyone.
afternoon.
Man, it's great to see you guys,
Good to see you folks.
even if it is in this digital realm.
Thanks, Carrie, because I knew Jesse couldn't coordinate this, so good job.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I would like to let you know that we are live streaming to YouTube and this meeting is being recorded.
Saw that.
Maybe we give it a few more minutes to give opportunity. We've got, oh, all right. Here comes Mr. Hendrickson. Perfect.
Hey.
So
Okay.
I'm up in Everett, Washington,
Are you really?
vacating, visiting my brother. And so we're at the airport there looking at airplanes and various stuff.
Wow.
So that's why I've only got about 15, 20 minutes. So
It shouldn't be a real long meeting. If I remember right, we didn't get a response from Richard.
Richard has a conflicting appointment today, but he was hoping to jump on for just a few minutes.
So maybe 2 more minutes and then we'll ask our last elected chair, Mr. Cooper, to call to order here. Maybe 2 more minutes.
all right, 4:05 or so. Okay.
I would say, yeah.
I'll apologize. I took a quick look at the agenda, but I'm hoping people will hint me with the other stuff for that. But didn't look very complicated.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
That's the idea. We all do enough complicated stuff every day. Let's keep this simple. Keep me out of trouble.
That's asking a lot.
Boy.
Well, according to my computer screen, it's 4:05. Mr. Chair? You're on mute.
I was coordinating a little bit. Okay. I'd like to call the September meeting of the Board of Building Regulations and Appeal for the City of Santa Rosa to order. Can you please call the roll?
Okay, so let the record reflect that all board members are present with the exception of Richard Yan.
And Dan O'Rourke.
Okay, so Richard,
Correction.
John, and
Dan O'Rourke, yeah.
then O'Rourke. Yeah. All right. What's our first order of business?
Well, we only had, Mr. Chair, if I may, we only had one really item, and it's really the discussion of the board appointments and term limits. Since we just went through this last round of recruitments and a lengthy process to get the appointments made, we now have nearly a full board for the first time in my tenure here. We still have one vacancy, which will continue to work with the city clerk's office and the mayor and council members to try to get some additional interest. It was great to see, we have our new with us now. We have Mr. Coker is our newest member. Mr. Yan isn't able to join us. Hopefully he will be able to jump on with us. And then the rest of the players, we've worked somewhat together over the years, but not necessarily in the board, so to speak, because we haven't really had the need or the opportunity to meet, even though we now get to meet our once per year requirement for 2021 anyway. So we're going to check that box. But it was just, my hope is to later develop a chance to speak with each of our board members individually without violating the Brown Act. I can speak to you all individually just to get a sense of anything you would like to see from the board. We have, as we all know, we have a pretty cut and dried mission to essentially to hear appeals on decisions made by the building official. Over the last 2 years, some of us were together when we discovered past practices of the board may not have been the correct path, although not knowing we didn't do anything wrong. But we did find that some of the members that are on now actually heard some appeals with regard to rental reimbursement and things like that. Those are actually not under our purview of this board. But we do still have the opportunity to hear code enforcement cases for sure. Through discussions with our city attorneys, we discovered that those matters of different state law reside more in the administrative hearing function, where someone can hear from a more legal perspective versus what we know and work with as far as code perspectives. I wouldn't even expect myself to be able to interpret those laws and regulations that deem when is appropriate or not to deem someone allowed to have rental reimbursement. So that's one key item that was really nice for us. And we've developed a really good working relationship with our city attorneys. So we're never going to see something that the attorneys haven't already been involved with. And I do offer the appeals board up to folks at times when we don't want to, we being me and our department, don't want to ever think that we're above anything and just because we say so it is. But when we're extremely confident in our code interpretation and someone wants to continue to challenge that, we eventually have to say, here's your path to appeal. I've offered it more in the last year to 2 years than I've ever even thought I would want to offer it, because I always try to mitigate issues prior to getting to an appeal. But there's still going to be the opportunity. I suspect with the rebuild efforts that have that have come through. There will be potentially opportunity for some appeals, just because the process was just such quite an effort. We'll leave it at that. Code enforcement is still going to be one of our main sources for appeals if we do get them. We're building an entirely new team, code enforcement wise. If you all haven't seen the record, we were fortunate enough to instill the position of assistant chief building official. We hired CC Muela, who is a former code enforcement officer with the city of Santa Rosa. Many of you may have recalled her former last name is CC Sevilla. So she's familiar with the city, very qualified, great in the code enforcement realm. So, and she hopes to join us for part of the meeting. That's really just part of what we wanted to discuss today, and also love to hear from any of our board members' questions, suggestions, thoughts on the process. And me being staff liaison for this board, I'm always open to any pathways that we can maybe utilize this board within reason and within our authority to make our city a better city. And again, I appreciate all of your efforts in continuing to be on the board. And again, super excited to have nearly a full board, and I really want to have an actual full board, and it'd be great. So I'll leave it at that, Mr. Chair. It's off to you.
All righty. So I would say that we could probably, does anybody else have any other comments?
I do have one question. At what point do we, as a board, be notified that there's a potential item that needs to be discussed? How is that notification given to us, and at what point in the process?
Right. We'll look into the actual legalities, but we do have these. I think everybody's familiar with the boards and commissions. They have very specific time frames that they have to follow. When we get an appeal and within X time frame, we're required to set a hearing. It's a little bit loose with this board because the regulation says that we hear an appeal on the next regularly scheduled meeting. So we may, if the chair and or members want to schedule a special meeting as opposed to our quarterly, we could schedule one in advance to hear an appeal. But we would give you the minimum required, or hopefully always more than the minimum notification. And we would also want to make sure attendance is possible. And if we need to work with the entire board, since it is such a very amenable group to try and get things together, I think we could always find a way to say, if we have to, let's get this on a calendar where we can all agree, and we just have to post it. Carrie's been working with our city attorney, as many of you have exchanged with Carrie. She is now officially the recording secretary for the board. She's new to this position. We just promoted Carrie to admin secretary, which then solidifies her in this role. So she and I and the city clerk and city attorneys are going to continue to iron out this process and be ready for anything that comes at us, and do it right this time, as opposed to the last 3 years that you've been dealing with me.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
I mean, usually what I've seen is we get an email saying there's been an appeal proposed. This is the proposed date. And then we get some sort of a packet saying this is both sides of the appeal. So we get a little bit of free chance in it, and then we get briefed on the rules of it. So,
Okay.
all right. I guess with anybody else have anything to say? All right. I guess I will then entertain a motion to adjourn.
You got a plane to catch?
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm on vacation. We're touring a hangar at the airport up in Painfield. So not the catch, just to look at.
I would ask Dave, I know Dave and I and Peter have been on this for a long time, and one of the things on the agenda is scheduling the next meeting. For a period of time, it was kind of haphazard as to when we met based on appeals, but that didn't serve the public very well because they never really knew when we were doing it. So I think, Carrie, what maybe Jesse started, I know Dave and Peter were involved, is that we went ahead and scheduled quarterly meetings. In other words, they've been completely reserved so that we could get a quorum. So everybody agreed to them. And I don't think we've had a meeting. It was so the public knew how to back in a schedule to meet our meeting. And if there was anything on the docket, then that's the date. And we already had a predetermined not a quorum necessarily. Everybody had predetermined that they could be there.
Right.
And then Carrie or whoever it was before, I'm sorry, Carrie, would say, hey, there's nothing up. So go to dinner, or, hey, there's something coming up. So plan accordingly. And then Jesse would get the information out. But I know that the board is a requirement of building code in the city of Santa Rosa. I'm just going to say hats off to you, Jesse, for keeping us uninvolved, which means you're doing a good job. So, and I mean that sincerely, because if we were eating all the time,
Sure.
there'd be a problem in the building division. So the good news is, Ken, I know you've been around for a long time. We don't meet very often. So, but we're here to support the city. So in terms of wanting to go look at airplane hangars, scheduling the next meeting, are we going to do that again? Just pre-select?
We definitely will. Yeah, we want to maintain that so we have it officially on the calendar. So it is the published calendar. We definitely want to maintain that. And
So yes, we have scheduled meetings every quarter, and then we cancel them as needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will send out a meeting invitation for you for those scheduled meetings. If you allow me a couple of days to get that out to you, I will send it. It won't have the Zoom information because I'll generate that closer to, but at least you'll have it in your calendars for when those will occur.
Sounds fine.
Great.
And
Good.
before we do get that second for the motion, I apologize. We did have some discussions in the last time we actually talked about the chair position and selecting a chair. We did learn that through this last recruitment and deeper dive into the city council policy, that the mayor is required to appoint the chair, even though the board is historically, those that have been on it. So we're okay where we are, but we are actually officially and have officially requested that the mayor appoint a chair.
Mhm.
And it was discussed prior to look into having the chair position be 2 years as opposed to 1, because it just makes sense because we don't meet that often. That was, I won't say brushed aside, but it would involve and entail revisiting the entire council, boards and commissions policy. And they don't have an appetite for that. Being they, meaning the former, now the current acting city manager, city attorney, and you can see where I'm going with that. So we are going to likely get an appointment of a new chair, or maybe they'll continue with the existing one, but we are trying to have them make it official from the mayor and keep us moving forward in that manner. And I apologize. I did. And for the board, again, some things I forgot. There was also a push to, and I supported it and could not garner support in the city legal realm to entertain board members that don't necessarily have home occupancy in the city limits, but business occupancy. And I could not get any traction. So, because many of you may recall Rob Cantu was former board member that didn't have residency, and we were previous city attorney said, oh, they have a business here with residency of the business, then they allowed it. They wouldn't let us renew Rob's membership on the board. So, and we do have some other parties interested that you all have worked with in the past, and they're design professionals that would serve well on the board, but just simply don't have home occupancy here. So to let you know, I did try and got shot down in flames.
So can we say congratulations, to Dave Cooper, in advance to the mayor appointing him again?
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing. You all do have, and Carrie's gonna work with our teams here, IT and likely city clerk. You all do have official city emails. It's gonna be something at srcity.org. So she'll be working to get that established for you all.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
I already have a city email address because of my participation with the police department.
Ah, that'll be interesting
So
to
it's
make
just-
sure we
it's
don't
just-
have any
Just
weird.
K Coker at
Right,
src.org.
right.
So
Okay.
that's taken
I'll
care of.
stop talking. I'm taking up way too much of your time that could be free.
All righty.
Okay.
Still waiting for a second on the motion or
Oh,
maybe a first. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Okay, second?
Second.
Second of all, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for making it.
Thank you,
All right.
everybody, so much.
Thank you. Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
Yeah, you
Bye.
too.
Bye.
Oh, can I get out of here?
bye.
Thanks, Gary.
Welcome. Have a good evening.
You too.